yanked the bows from his hair, making it messily fall down on the sides. Noir didn't resist the motion of Pat placing Noir's hands behind his back. He knotted one of the bows around Noir's wrists and pushed him forward, bending him over the trash can. Pat reached forward and ripped the top of Noir's dress down, revealing his hard pecs. Noir let out a soft moan at this. Pat's hands moved down from Noir's now bare chest down to the rest of the frilly dress, the grin on his lips becoming more sinister. Pat's hands would now be sliding under the ruffles of Noir's dress to the outline of his hard shaft inside the skimpy white panties Noir wore in disguise. Pat's hand began to make a slow up and down motion on the top of Noir's shaft. This triggered a reaction in Noir. He began to squirm as the tip of his member began to drip stimulation. Pat made a soft tish noise. Pulled his hand from Noir's piece. A spider would wet out behind. Noir hit his lower lip and stammered softly as he spoke afterward. Look what you did. Pat chuckled and responded close to Noir's ear, nibbling it softly. Nothing compared to what you've done. You did say anything after all. Pat moved back, letting Noir's body rest on the trash can. Bent slightly over now, he pulled at the other bow from Noir's hair and leaned down, tying his legs together at the ankles. Pat quickly got back up, but not first without a quick glance at the helpless Noir, bound by the wrists and ankle over the trash, his panties now stuck in the creases of his slender ass. Pat pushed his console once more and pulled out his whip. The virtual whip made a soft tap as it touched the theater floor, materializing before his eyes. In his hand, Pat gripped the whip tightly, pulling it back. He began to lash at Noir's lower back, tearing his dress to bits, leaving slightly skimpy bare white panties now revealing through. Torn clothes, Pat pulled the whip back once more and proceeded to whip Noir's lower back, and Noir tried to endure, but cried out in pain, ecstasy. With each whip, the small wet spot from his leaking member grew with each whip. Noir began to make small whimpering noises as his legs limply hanged. Noir's wedged heels clacked slightly together in the silence that followed after. Pat returned the whip to where it once came from and pulled his waistline with his free hand. He ripped at what was left of Noir's lowered, ruffled skirt and ripped the panties down, revealing Noir's cream white bare ass. Pat spoke now playfully. I'm not done with you yet, so you better not have made a big mess yet. Pat spread Noir's cheeks and stepped forward. Pat slowly entered the tip of his member into Noir's cream-colored ass with a bit of resistance. Pat shook his head as he looked down instead, filling his mouth with saliva. He began to spit down for lubricant, but then also he had an idea. He reached under Noir, placing his fingers in Noir's mouth to get them wet. Leaning forward once more, he whispered to Noir, make them as wet as you would my own chichi. In your mouth, Noir began to salivate. As Pat's fingers moved around in his mouth, he sucked and sucked. Before long, Pat removed his hand and let the saliva from his fingers drip to Noir's crack.